Hello, welcome back to another FPL video. We're getting closer and closer to the start of the season now. I've already done an FPL sort of first team selection. However, now we have all the fixtures. I'm going to do an official first FPL team selection. I've done a lot of pondering, but I think I've finally come up with a team that at least, but by the time it gets to that deadline, I think most of this team will be similar to what I'm submitting. If you are new around here, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Really helps me out, lets me know you're enjoying the videos. Hit that like button. Without further ado, let's get into this team selection. We are getting closer and closer to the start of the season. Here's the sort of main sort of team I'm looking at kind of building. I kind of like going on sort of a rotational basis. So as you can see, I've not got any of those sort of 4.5 mil midfielders or strikers that are extremely cheap. In goal, I've gone for Ramsdale and McCarthy. If you look at their fixtures, through from about game week 1 to game week 10, they rotate pretty much perfectly. In the defence, obviously Trent Alexander-Arnold, the main man himself, the first player on everyone's team sheet, basically regardless of the fixtures. Then we move across with the likes of James Justin, likely to only play for the first couple of fixtures, but he does start in there very nicely. Also, Thomas for Leicester as well, depending on what happens with Chilwell, whether Leicester get another left back, could be a very good 4.5 mil defender who's actually more likely to play for a longer period of time, because you sort of feel that as soon as Pereira comes back from injury for Leicester, he will be taking Justin's spot. Then we've got the likes of Vinagre, obviously for Wolves, on the left wing back side for 4.5 mil. Their cheapest probably playing defender at the minute, and their fixtures from about game week 3 to game week 7, absolutely sublime. Everyone at the minute is kind of a bit wary because they're likely to sign Ainsley Maitland-Niles, but if anything, Maitland-Niles will play in the right back slot. But I think he's more likely to do a kind of Oxlade-Chamberlain-esque sort of thing where he goes and starts to play in that midfield, because I think that's where he wants to play. So if we look if he's going to play at left wing back or right wing back, it would more be for cover for Vinagre or Doherty if either of them do get injured. Then we also have the likes of Egan. I'm also sort of using Egan on the sort of rotational basis. So whenever, Sheffield have a good fixture, I'll have Ramsdale and Egan, hopefully just to double up on that defence and really sort of bring home some points when they do get a clean sheet, as they have. We've seen them be one of the best defensive in the league last season. Then Ferguson probably won't be starting at the start of the season. We're likely to see him though sort of get his place in that Palace side, hopefully by game week sort of 5, when they sort of have a really good turn of fixtures. And yeah, their fixtures look very, very promising. Also for 4 mil, probably the most likely defender to start, other than maybe Douglas for Leeds. There's a lot of sort of chatter and talk about whether he might start, because he's a bit more of a defensive left back than the other players that Leeds have got. Then we look into the midfield, and midfield is where you're going big this year. It's where a lot of points will be coming from. So we start off with the likes of Aubameyang. His first 2 fixtures are very, very good. Probably it also have Aubameyang makes it very easy to move to the likes of De Bruyne and Sterling. I'm probably looking at De Bruyne myself, as much as I know Sterling has a very sort of electric and powerful start to the season. De Bruyne for me, 250 points last season. I don't see him getting less than that in the following season. Then we have the likes of Ziyech for Chelsea coming in at 8 million. For me, that's probably a bit of a bargain. We'll see how it goes. But if he has any kind of form like Bruno Fernandes does, or came in with to the end of last season, and also the players that Chelsea are bringing in, we could at some point this season see a triple up in Chelsea players. Havertz, Ziyech, Werner. I mean, depending on what the price that Havertz comes in, if he comes in at 8 mil, I think he will definitely be taking that spot. Then we've got the likes of Mohamed Salah, who's a keeper probably through game week 1 through about 18 odd. He's got incredible fixtures. I'll be captaining him pretty much most weekends. So for me, Salah is almost just sort of a set and forget player. He's very likely to sort of get 230 odd points this season again, or could even have a much better season than he had last season. Who knows? Saint-Maximin. For me, I prefer him as a budget midfielder to the likes of Dale Stephens. He does cost an extra $1 million. However, he's just more likely to do so much more. And when I play the guy, I'm not going to expect he's going to score,
but I feel like he's much more involved, much more likely to score. So paying that extra mil for me is very much worth it. And he also starts off with a couple of nice fixtures. Then we've got the likes of Son, absolute bargain for me. Had a very good sort of back stretch for the season, and his price has been dropped to 0.5 mil. 9 mil for Son. I'll be keeping him in until about game week 8, 9, 10. His fixtures are really that good, and I think Son's definitely one to be patient on, even if he doesn't have a first game week 1 or 2. People may they'll see the Man United games, they'll see the Man United options, or even Chelsea options, and it's quite an easy swap to those guys. But I feel like a player with the Son, just be patient, and he will haul, and he'll end up getting he'll get 2-2 and then 12-15. It's the kind of player Son is, and he's very likely to haul at some points during the season. Then we've got the 3 budget strikers up front: Chris Wood, Jordan Ayew, and Mitrovic. Mitrovic for me, he's about 30% owned at the minute, and I think everyone's just trying to get on that Pookie kind of bandwagon, because some people were late to it. I hopped in it last year at a decent point, but everyone's trying to pick up the new Pookie, and Mitrovic looks like he could definitely do that, especially with the fixtures they've got, game weeks sort of 1 through 10. Then Jordan Ayew, as I said, I don't expect to be playing him a ridiculous amount. However, I personally like having players who I know if they play, I can back them to potentially do something, other than having Davis from Aston Villa. I think Ayew's a nice little option. And Wood is on penalties for Burnley. He's likely to get a double game week in the first few weeks when they do play, as he misses the first game week back because Burnley are playing Manchester United. So in game week 2 or 3, even though they don't have the greatest fixtures at that point, he's going to have a double game week. He's on penalties, and I think in general, Chris Wood, just a great finisher. Going to end the season probably with between 10 to 15 goals. But if I can pick out the correct fixtures and play him in favourable fixtures, then I think I can do quite well with Chris Wood and pick up plenty of points for him. So this is what the team would look like in game week 1. Obviously Ramsdale in goal. I'm sort of backing myself Ramsdale against Vinagre. I could double down on the Sheffield United defence, play Egan for that first game. However, Sheffield United Wolves is a very unpredictable game, so I think having one of each side, just because I reckon one of each side will pick up a clean sheet. I may be frustrated if Sheffield United go and pick up a clean sheet and win something like 1-0, but almost in a way I'd prefer that, because Vinagre is also very highly owned. Obviously you've got Trent in there against Leeds should be a clean sheet really, and also the potential for sort of assist goals, that sort of thing. Then we've got Justin against West Brom. Hopefully they can keep a clean sheet there. We know that from previous seasons, West Brom have been a very good defensive side. However, attacking have always been very lacking. So if a team's playing against West Brom, having defenders against them is always going to be very favourable. Then the midfield, as we said, the 5 in the midfield are very, very favourable fixtures in my opinion for that first game week. Expecting big points in the midfield, especially if St. Maximan can do something that will really kind of push me up those leaderboards. Then we've got the likes of Jordan Ayew against Southampton and Mitrovic against Arsenal. Mitrovic against Arsenal isn't the best fixture. However, I can see Fulham maybe losing this game 3-1, but Mitrovic still picking up a goal. I potentially like to play the likes of Ferguson against Southampton. Although Southampton are an away team, but we don't actually know whether Ferguson has got that starting spot yet. But I'm pretty comfortable with how that team looks, and obviously throughout, between game week 1, game week 10, I'll be rotating players around, making changes. Obviously it's FPL, so we don't really know. I can make plans now, but as soon as it gets after 1 game week, 2 weeks, that'll probably all go out the window, and I'll have to fix up and do something else. But yeah, I hope you have enjoyed this little FPL first team selection, or first official team selection as it were. If you have enjoyed it, hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.